Hello, beautiful souls. It's Kat from Elevate, my channel where we talk about recovering from toxic relationships and regaining self love and self esteem. Today's topic is going to be stop trying to fix other people or solve other people's problems. And this is a topic that was born out of a short that I did that got a lot of views, and a lot of people had comments about it. I think it can be interpreted in a lot of ways, and I just wanted to go into it a little bit more deeply. But before I get into today's topic, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you're on a healing journey or you want to learn more about recovering from toxic relationships and healing and getting past uh, this kind of ordeal, as well as picking healthier partners in the future and not wasting time with toxic people in your life, avoiding toxic people. So, the topic today is stop trying to fix other people or solve other people's problems. So, I recently was going to go on a date with a guy. And as in speaking with him prior to going out, we had actually gone out years ago once, and then I didn't really want to see him again. But I recently picked up again with him, and I thought, oh, maybe, I'm going to give this person another chance. So, we're talking online and going back and forth. And as we're discussing different things like the dynamics between men and women, I noticed how dysfunctional his ideas were about men and women and relationships. And I could see that he had been hurt by a woman. It just seemed apparent. He didn't necessarily say that, but it seemed to me he had been hurt by a woman. They had been dating, and afterwards he changed his whole appearance. She made him feel like he wasn't good enough, and he then went ahead and changed himself, his appearance, and I guess many other things after the relationship, because he said he examined himself after the relationship because she had blamed everything on him. I guess the demise of the relationship was blamed on him. So this was interesting to me. I think everybody should examine themselves after the failure of any relationship. However, this guy really seemed to take it to heart, and I guess he may have had a lot of things to work on. I think some people maybe need that shake up and they haven't had a lot of growth, or they haven't had a lot of self-awareness. So maybe along the way he wasn't actually growing, and maybe he needed that to actually kick him into gear. Most of the people on my channel, I think, are, let's say, working with a minimum level of self-awareness at least. And hopefully, I think most of you are at a higher level of self-awareness, because if you're listening to my videos, you're actively trying to improve yourself, you're actively trying to heal, you're actively trying to become a more evolved person, emotionally mature. And I think maybe this guy wasn't, at that level, so he needed like a kickstart, I guess. But we started talking, and the way that he made it seem was that you have to change yourself to become appealing to the opposite sex, and that was his focus. I guess he kind of believed that your main focus in life, in dating, was to change yourself in every way, physically, I guess, emotionally, like personality, to change yourself to be more desirable to the opposite sex. And that you should be actively thinking about this concept and doing this. Um, and I just didn't agree with that. And I don't, he said he literally believed like you should be contorting yourself to become more desirable. And I said to him, "Well, I'm just me, and if someone doesn't like it, then they don't like it. Like, it's just that's not the right person for me then. Like, I'm not going to sit there every day trying to change myself to appeal to other people. I think that that is showing a very strong level of insecurity. Insecure people don't have a strong sense of self. They don't have a solid sense of self. So they will maybe contort themselves and change themselves to appeal to others, like a chameleon. I don't really believe that that is healthy, and it definitely shows that that person is insecure, that they don't have a strong, solid sense of self. Because when you have a strong, solid sense of self, you stand in your own truth, you stand in who you are. And that means if people like it, that's great. And if they don't like it, that's great, because there's nothing that you can do. You're not going to change yourself to appeal to other people. I think when we do codependent things, we can fall into this because we become people pleasers. We become more submissive to another person's whims or wants. But I think to change yourself at your core based upon what other people want, to me, that's very insecure. That's highly codependent, and it's just not a recipe for a healthy relationship, because essentially, if you're changing yourself to appeal to someone else, that's not really who you authentically are. So everything is built then on pretense, and any relationship would be like a house of cards. So it wouldn't last very long, let's say. Um, so getting back to this guy, so then he said to me something like, things are changing and the guy is the prize now. The guy is the prize. And I just really don't have any uh, kind of belief like that. I feel like both people are the prize and they should both treasure each other. I don't think a guy is more of a prize or a woman is more of a prize, but I feel like this concept that this guy was saying to me showed how hurt he's been by women. It showed how insecure he is. And the guy is a very good-looking guy. He goes to the gym and he looks amazing, and his Instagram is, his he works hard at his body, and he definitely is very attractive. But this was such a turn off to me, like the way that he saw men and women, the way that he was skewing himself, I guess, for, to become more attractive without standing in his true sense of self. I just felt like he was too insecure for me, and he obviously had issues from being hurt by a woman before, and her making him feel not good enough. So I could see all this in this person. And in the past, maybe I would have shared my insights with someone like this. Maybe I would have said to them, it seems like you've been hurt, and I can see that this seems to be why this, and so forth. And I might have shared in the past in other circumstances and tried to help this person to see, let's say, where they were going wrong, or where they were not giving themselves even a fair chance, because this guy is basically selling himself out. But instead of doing that, I did nothing. Instead of doing that, I just stopped talking to this guy. And again, it was a big turnoff to me that his personality was the way it was. So no matter how great he looks, it you know there are these guys that look great are like a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. There's just so many attractive guys out there. So I'm not going to settle just because the guy looks great. So there's always going to be somebody else, and hopefully somebody else who shares the same values as me. I just saw that we didn't have the same values. We didn't share the same values. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's wrong if he feels the guy is the prize, because that's his value. That's how he sees things. He in talking with him, I could see he was very selfish, just very self-centered. Um, like egotistical, could be bordering on narcissist the way that he was interacting with me. But instead of telling him all about himself, I did nothing. This telling these people all about themselves, or pointing out what's wrong, or sharing your insights and trying to help people see maybe a little bit more about um their own issues, let's say. That's a very codependent thing to do. Codependent people like to point out everything that's wrong with the narcissist or someone toxic in their life, and they try to help these people. Codependents are notorious for trying to help people, fixing the toxic guy, fixing by trying to tell him, you're hurting me when you do this, and let's go to counseling, let's go to relationship counseling, and you know sending them articles online about what they're doing and how it's unhealthy. Codependent people will try to fix and try to help. And I think codependent people have a really big heart. It's a lot of the times coming from a really good place. I don't think it's necessarily coming from a bad place, but you have to learn how to stay in your own lane. You have to learn that it's not your job to fix these people. It's not your job to help these people figure out their problems, to give, deeper insights into what you see and try to help these people. You just have to let these people move on in their life, and you have to on in yours, and let them be dysfunctional. Let them have these thoughts, and if you see they were hurt and that they're selling themselves short, and they're living in a certain way, and it's dysfunctional or unhealthy or toxic, you actually just have to let them do that. And all you can do is control the fact that you are no longer involved with that person. So you just keep going. That person wasn't the right person for you to have in your life, because that person wasn't healthy within themselves, or didn't share the same values. Like if you value honesty, integrity, loyalty, and this person is telling white lies, or they're, flaking out on you, and they're not being respectful, then that person is not for you. But it's not your job to go about and tell people all about themselves and try to help them and fix them. I've been in situations like this where I tried so hard to help someone last year and the year before. And this person literally showed me through this situation that no matter how hard you try to help someone or be good to someone or be there for someone, if they don't want that help, or they don't want to change or grow, you can't help them. They're just not able to be helped. And it's so hard to walk away and to accept that and say, this person doesn't want to improve themselves, or doesn't want to see their problems. This person may be in denial, and that's most of these people are. They're either in denial due to a personality disorder, they're in denial just because it's easier for them. Denial is the easy way out. That's like a lot of people, even codependent people, are in denial about certain things. Like when they continue to stay with a toxic partner and they don't get out of the situation, the codependent person is in denial. They are not allowing themselves to see the reality of the toxic person and see the reality of the unhealthy relationship. So they are in denial, and they go along and they pretend like everything is fixable. So a lot of people are in denial, not just people with personality issues or disorders. Denial is a coping mechanism that is used by a lot of people. And you have to just let people be in that denial. And that's so hard, especially when you really care about someone, like the person I'm talking about that I tried to help and be there for in the past few years. It is really hard to accept that there's nothing you can do, and you watch this person self-sabotage, and it's just really, really hard. But then you have to distance yourself and say, "This is not my problem. This is not my child. This is not, me, and because it's not me and it's not my child, I'm not going to try to help or fix this person or solve their problems." And even when it's a child, I mean, if it's a minor child, like, you have to be involved and try to help them, or you should, like, let's say, teach them, because if you're raising a child, that's a piece. If it's an adult child, you may also feel like you need to stop trying to fix them or help solve their problems, because once a child becomes an adult, they have to try to stand on their own 2 feet. That being said, if like someone in your family or, close friend has mental illness and they're not taking medication or something like that, I do think, you want to try to mention it and try to help them a little bit, but you can't let it overtake you to the point where it's detrimental. And I think a lot of codependent people do get to that point. A lot of codependent people are going to this place where they're trying to control, they're trying to help, they're trying to fix this toxic person, either, in their relationship or even an ex. They're still in touch with the ex, they're still trying to help and fix, to the point where the codependent is forgetting about themselves. They just take their own needs and set them aside and focus on these other people. And I think a big part of having a healthy sense of self-esteem is that you focus on yourself and love yourself first. Then you can help other people, but you can't help other people to the detriment of yourself. And I find that there's only so many hours of time in the day. So if I'm taking care of myself and I'm taking care of my kids and maybe my close friends, I don't take care of them per se, but we will try to, of course, help each other to a point. But I'm not getting so involved where I'm actually personally taking on this responsibility to fix or solve their problems. So I think it's about a fine line. I think you should be a helpful person. I think, I'm very compassionate. I have a big heart. I do try to help people, but there's a line that you can't cross. And I think the line that you would cross is this line of feeling responsible for helping or fixing this person. So where you're almost taking on the person because you care about them so much, you're taking on that responsibility to help them and fix them. And it's often a toxic person that we're trying to help or fix because we think they just don't know how to be different. Maybe they just don't know that they're hurting people. Maybe they just don't know how to be respectful. But if you really think about it, usually with these people in the beginning, they were respectful. They do know how to treat you better. They did treat you better. And then all of a sudden they changed because they decided that for whatever reason, you didn't deserve that respect anymore. You didn't deserve to be treated well anymore. And this goes hand in hand with the devaluing they do of you in their mind, which really has nothing to do with you. You could be like the most amazing person ever to them, and they, because of their patterns and their dysfunction, will devalue you and discard you. So it's like there was nothing you could have done to be better. You could prolong it, like I've said before, if you're submissive to this person, but that'll just be selling your soul. So I wouldn't recommend that path either. When you have boundaries, they'll likely end things sooner with you because they don't like people that have boundaries. They don't like people that stand up for themselves, because that just makes them, question for a second if they're doing something wrong. And they are doing something wrong, but they don't like to have to actually face that. They won't face that. So this is about, I guess, stop trying to fix these toxic guys that you're with. They are who they are. They have these patterns, they have these behavioral patterns. They are not able to change because they don't want to change. It's not that they don't know what to do to change. You've obviously, if you've been codependent and you're involved with one of these people, you've probably told them many things about trying to make things work and trying to help them, educate them on, let's say, better ways to communicate, healthier respect, loyalty, and so forth. But these people are not interested in changing, and they don't. And anyway, no one should change for you. They should change for themselves, right? So it's like you don't even want to have to coerce someone to change. If this is who they are, just let them be. Let them be who they are. You don't have to be in their life anymore. You don't have to take the disrespect. You don't have to take the verbal abuse or the name calling. You can walk away, but that's who they are. And so it's almost the kindest thing to respect that they are who they are and you're not going to change them. And then you move on with your life. That's your option. That's your healthy choice. Your healthy choice is to leave. So I hope this helped you today to understand, we can't fix people, we can't change people. They have to want to change themselves. And if they don't, we have to be able to accept that concept and then make our own choices based upon that data and the way that things have played out, make our choices, our healthier choices, which may be to leave the situation. But we cannot solve other people's problems. People are adults that we're involved with, we're dating or we're friends with people who are adults. And if these people are adults, they should be able to manage their own problems, fix themselves, work on themselves so they can be the best partner for you. And quite honestly, that's what you deserve. You deserve a healthy partner who is working on themselves, who is open to learning new ways of communicating and working on the relationship and not abusing you. So it's sort of like you deserve better anyway. And you also need to respect that some people are limited and they're not able to see all that you can see. So you have to just let them be on their own journey. Maybe one day they will get to a place where they'll change, but it's not now, and you can't go down with the ship. So save yourself because you're the most important thing here. In my mind, it's you preserving yourself and not being abused by removing yourself from the situation. I hope this video helped you today, and definitely subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video if it resonated with you and share it with friends.